How are we doing?
Good afternoon, all. Tex and Ads here with you from Unity Trading Group. Thanks for stopping by and checking in. Uh, Interestingly enough, I think we're at a little bit of an inflection point for BTC, so probably a good night for
Mm.
us to be on together having a look at this. For everything that we do here at UTG, make sure you head over to unitytradinggroup.com. All the free gear. We'll keep this under 10 or so minutes, and we'll show you what we're trading, how we're trading it, and hopefully how you can make some dollars ads on Bitcoin here. Now we've got a few. I think we're aligned with what we believe is going to happen. But it's really been interesting to see some different views over in the Discord this week. We've got Fergs, if you're watching, is always charting in I guess a bearish sort of way. We got guys with bullish sentiment. So it's been really nice to see both sides of the coin and see how this plays out.
Absolutely, it has. Yesterday, during the update, I spoke about the potential, scenarios that we could see playing out. I talked about some of the sentiment that was in the market as well, very much, alongside the W pattern type deal that we were really looking at last night, whether that would be a potential factor or that would be a potential movement. But the real takeaway from last night's update was really looking towards this level of demand, and of course, following the lower high structure that we've been really putting on the chart for quite some time, even since the start of September, where we've just been walking down this movement. And I think moving closer and closer towards that demand level was an eventuality and a preferred outcome that we spoke about last night. That's why the title was Reverse or Bust, because it was going to be just that. We needed to either make a higher high, and test that 50 or the 61 level in regards to our fibs, more so the 61 in last night's case, or it was going to be bust in the sense that we were going to head back down towards our 41. That's what's come to fruition over the course of, over the last 24 hours since I stood up or sat in front of you all and spoke about this again. So we're really looking towards that level at 41k. In my opinion, now we haven't been able to hold that 50 level of the RSI. Of course, we are moving down into bearish territory again, and the steamroller indicator is looking towards the downside again, Ty. Whether or not we see 41 and below again remains to be seen. But what do you think?
Yeah, well, it's I love this because I've got a couple of different things charted on my chart, and as I said, the guys in the Discord have their own theories as well. You might see this sort of pattern as well, and sort of look for a potential bullish move back to the upside. But the only way that I think that would come is if this was a sort of a quick little swing failure bottom. If we don't continue to make another move to the downside through this demand zone down to that 39k level. But if we zoom out to the daily time frame ads, what is really interesting at the moment from a moving average standpoint is that if we put our five fan on there,
Where are we, man? There we go.
ways of having a dev is that we've got a million different indicators in there that we haven't even released yet, which we get to play with. So looking at the five fan one here is the red MA indicates the 200 MA. So really looking at where we are now, historically when we look back 200 points or 200 candles, 200 sort of periods, it gives us a lot of data to say this is a pretty significant little support zone. So as you rightfully said, that demand zone below is going to be quite important. And then really exactly what you've got here in terms of your demand zones lower down at around that 36k level, for me is really relevant if we don't hold this level. It also happens if we go to the 2-day, if you just type in 2D, aligns really, really beautifully with that demand zone as well, and that 23, which we know is a really important zone because we often see whether it be a fib extension or a fib retracement tool. We know when we're at the bottom end of the fibs at that 23 level, that's a very important level too, because we often see consolidations in Fibonacci where price will sort of hang around that area before it kind of makes more of a definitive move as to what direction it's going to go in. So from a 2-day standpoint, That's pretty clear cut. But really, right where we stand right now is, as I said earlier, it's sort of the important point for Bitcoin, man. It needs to hold this level, or I think we continue to the downside. And really, we've got to look. There's been a lot of instability in the traditional markets as of late. We've got Evergrande over in China, which just had a measly $12 billion injection from the People's Bank, or from the government recently as well. It's got loans it needs to repay. There's instability there in the financial markets, which could trigger then other sell-offs with other companies within the real estate industry that may then have effects over in the US market, which then affects us. So I think globally there's a little bit of angst at the moment. So, and if we look at Robert T. Kiyosaki and a few of these other notable people predicting these huge big market crashes in October, it's easy to understand why BTC could make those moves to the downside.
Absolutely, it could, and it all forms that huge puzzle that we're trying to, piece together to get the best picture, and the best swing of things, or the best insight on which direction that we should be playing. And it's fairly easy to really put your eggs in the basket, because we're really identifying these these EMA levels, of course. We do have relevant levels here on the 2-day that we're seeing. We have relevant levels down here, which you can correlate with the level of demand, as Ty said. So why not capitalize on something like that, and set your sync bids, or even position yourself in the market to a point where you could take advantage of those potential movements to that downside for a better entry price for the eventuality of a movement to the upside, Ty.
Yeah, totally. And we often say, we look at the 4 hour timeframes on most of your updates, due to the fact that BTC doesn't really do a great lot, but at this current point in time. But for me right now, as a long-term trader and someone who still has spot buys on much lower on ETH and BTC as well, and it's just kind of dollar cost averaging in as we go. Looking at the daily and the 2 daily time frame is really sweet for me now, because it's so beautiful as well with the system that we teach, which is 100% free, by the way, for anyone listening. We don't charge for anything that we do here, education wise. It's beautiful when you put a 2 day time frame like that on that, and you line up your MAs, and it lines up beautifully with your Fibonacci, your demand zone, your moving averages. It just validates exactly what you've popularized over at UTG for us, man, when it comes to supply and demand. So it's a very beautiful system and very simple in its nature.
Absolutely.
All right, let's have a look at ETH. The main one for me at the moment, unless you want to look more at BTC.
Yeah, I'm just trying to get my fibs. There we go. Sorry, I'm just getting the fibs back. We'll have a look at ETH. I think it's something that we should be looking at, because I haven't looked at it for a little while, being really focused on BTC and where we're headed with with ETH. Let's have a look at the 4 hour time frame and see what's going on. So let me get rid of these older zones. They're still valid on a higher time frame, but we'll leave them as is. So we can even draw this in as we see fit. So in terms of our levels of demand, let's have a look at the rectangle. This is one, and then we do have some valid zones underneath us, of course, here as well. Let's keep it at that. But if we're looking at this, I would suggest that you look at fibs, because that's going to be what's playing out. So from swing high to swing low, of course, we draw from left to right always, regardless if it's high to low or low to high. We have seen the same sort of scenario where we're looking at BTC on the 50 levels of fibs, and we're seeing ETH at the same point. We're needing to move to the upside past that 50 levels of fib towards the 61.8. And that hasn't come to fruition overnight. A little bit easier to spot because we've had that double top event with Ethereum as well. But looking more like, this area is going to be a very important one. And in the same sort of token as BTC, if we're heading towards, that 41K with BTC, would be seemingly heading towards, this previous area of liquidity, if not the 2700 mark for Ethereum as well. As more notable, you could even say that the CM roller indicator and, of course, our RSI are trending in that direction as they are on BTC. So Unless you had any more thoughts, Ty, we could probably have a look at some other ones if you wouldn't mind.
Yeah, totally. No, that aligns pretty well with me, man. I am not looking, if we can break, let's say 3,200, if we continue moving up, then I would certainly be more confident on a reversal here for Ethereum. But really, I've still got bias laid down to like as low as like 2, 3 at the
Yeah,
moment, just
yeah.
in case. So I'm not overly confident on Ethereum at the moment. But as always, pay attention to what Bitcoin is doing, and then ETH will often follow that.
It's interesting because we're in a sort of we're at a sort of impasse where we are not making higher highs and we have a critical level of resistance that it's playing out. BTC included. But we do have a critical level of support underneath us, and we're just ping ponging or floating between these levels, and trying to get a sense of direction. Are we going to head to the upside, or is that going to be to the downside? Or we could stay in this range for quite some time. Time will tell. And of course, our volume isn't telling a fantastic story for the bulls anyway, as I've been describing for the past couple of days. So, look, I do apologise. I can't give you any more insight to the point where I can just observe that we've had a double top event, and of course, the next logical step, if we do not hold the 23, would be the $2,700 mark, and that goes without saying for BTC as well. It really comes down to we need to analyse this market structure, and seemingly create more higher highs in order to really gauge our levels to the upside for now.
Perfect. All right. I'm not sure which ones you may want to have a look at. Sol would be of interest. If Seems to still be a lot of people talking about Sol. I don't follow it a great deal myself, so I haven't actually TA'd this.
I've had some levels of interest, on my chart, as you can probably see. Some are further away than others. But if we have a look at it on the daily time frame, to give us a bit of perspective on, what Sol has achieved, of course, over the last few months, we could probably get a little bit of a better indication on where our levels should be at, I guess, for a further move to the downside, if we're going to expect one on Ethereum and BTC as a whole. I think some of these are probably too far away-ish. I think this level here is probably more notable and more achievable. As we are sitting at 135, we could easily see it come down to 110. It's only a $20 swing. Of course, it's about 15% difference between where we are now and where we there. Yeah, just about to our next level of demand. So something like that is probably of interest if you're a daily or a swing trader, as we are. If you're looking at a lower time frame type deal, you'd be looking more towards these areas here at 130 even, and of course even more notable around the 120 mark, where I've got mine laid out, and that really corresponds very nicely with some of the liquidity that we're seeing on the left hand side, being that support resistance flip scenario at 120, and of course that brings a nice round number psychological support area as well. But as it's a USDT pair, we are seeing the dip in the market. Currently, we are underneath the RSI in terms of the 50, and of course, our steermoller indicator is pointing to the downside as well. So nothing too extravagant with Sol currently, as it's coming off the back of that huge run from, I think it was $20, even lower. Yeah, from about 20 bucks to about 210. So a decent chunk of change. For that one, I think that's 1,000%, isn't it?
Something ludicrous.
Yeah, just about 900%.
I do think once alts recover, it would be well worth having a look at Sol, just purely based on the ecosystem around the NFTs and everything at the moment. It's one of Sam's coins, so it's always worth paying a little bit of attention to. So I really do think that'll be one of the quickest to recover once everything sort of turns. So in my opinion, that 110 zone is really relevant, or it's sort of 113 is what I've got here. And then, layering bids all the way down to potentially that $70 to $80 mark, I think would be wise, just in case we get a flash crash. But pretty confident on a nice recovery for Sol once all this simmers.
Speaking of the altcoins, we do have the Total 2 if you haven't used it before, it's the total market cap excluding Bitcoin, to really gauge the the strength, I guess, and the market direction of the total alts. You can see we're in a lull at the moment. This is probably more, against USDT pairs. I think that would probably be the most appropriate to really gauge this and to see where we're really at. But it's really going to come down to alts in general. And if we're seemingly putting it towards a level of demand, it really comes down to the 1,975 billion area, where we did have the retest to the left-hand side, as you can see just here. So that's very important to be note, of course. But in this instance, you do have quite a bit of liquidity at the left-hand side at 1.04 or 1 trillion at that point, where we are coming towards our oversold condition, and we are under the 50 on the RSI as well. So looking okay for a potential reversal coming up for the altcoins. And, as Ty has mentioned in the Discord and obviously on the videos as well, that the alts will get their time, or their time will come. And of course, it really comes down to you charting something like the total tool and getting, an indication or idea of where the actual liquidity areas and support levels are for the total cap, because that's going to be the indication on your direction. Are we, trending upwards in terms of the market? Because if we are, that means the alts are having a decent run, and if we are trending downwards, it comes down to starting to pick up those alts at critical levels, lining it up with these critical levels that we see on the total as well.
Very good, sir.
Thank you.
Well, I reckon that would just about wrap it up. We've been on for a little bit of time. Yeah. So don't forget, for everything that we do here at UTG, you can come into the Discord. Everything's free. Come and have a chat with us. We're in there every single day, charting and chatting with some really solid traders. Make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on your notifications to get these updates pretty much every single night from ads. So sign up and we'll see you in the next video.
Absolutely. Catch you later.